The worst might be behind us. GPU pricing might be coming back to normal, but Nvidia may have lied about releasing a card last Thursday, and AMD's FSR is kinda lame? Let's get into the hot news, everybody. I'm your host, Brett. We're gonna be going over the hottest tech news that I can find on this very here internet. In case you wanna suggest some news for me to talk about on this here show, you can do so over in our Discord server, which is linked in the video description. We'd love to have you there. You chat with us as well as just be part of the amazing hot news UFD tech community. It's good stuff. What's also good stuff is the report from multiple places that GPU pricing and availability is getting better, right? Like, I know, we've been waiting for so long for this to happen, but reports are coming out and an aggregation of data is showing that the secondary market, which is the scalping market, is starting to see a price decline, especially when you compare this to the mining Ethereum rate and how much GPUs are actually producing there. What we're seeing is that the decreased profits is correlating with a decreased amount in the money of what GPUs are being sold for. You see the trend line ever since what seems to be the middle of May has started to come down, and we are on a decreased slope when it comes to the secondhand market of GPUs. And this is just one plot point of data of somebody looking at eBay sales and tracking those. However, it's also being reported that over in Europe, GPU prices have begun to drop as much as 50% in specific GPU orientations. So we're seeing that both in the US and the EU, prices are starting to come down. On top of that, ASRock is saying that crypto mining has started to wane and GPU prices are looking to drop sometime soon because production is starting to catch up, especially now that AMD might have access to more substrate production and make it so that they can produce more GPUs, combine that with the lower amount of demand, and you get better pricing, both new and hopefully on the used market. This is something that I've actually been noticing not just in GPUs, but also in other tech items. If you go onto third-party websites like eBay or Mercari and you try to pick up an Xbox Series X or a PlayStation 5, they're being scalped for significantly less than they were just a few months ago. This is something that I was discussing with my pal over at Zach's Tech Turf, which you should totally check him out at that card in the top right-hand corner. And he's been seeing the exact same thing of GPU prices starting to come down. RTX 3060s that used to fly out the door at the $800 price point are now sitting for days and are accepting offers. People who were able to sell their entire systems very quickly at high margin are now having to drop the prices and wait in order to get them out the door. Have you been seeing this? Is this positive news to you? Are you seeing it and being like, yeah, well, until it gets worse? All right, let me know how you view the positive statements that our GPU prices are getting better. Are you ready for it, my friends? What GPU do you want to upgrade to now that they might be available at a reasonable price? Let me know down in the comments. And I'll let you know about today's episode sponsor. Today's episode of Hot News is brought to you by one of my favorite sponsors, because not only do they sell .tech domains that are great for whatever tech needs you have, but whenever they sponsor, they also have something great to go alongside it. And today is no different, because today our sponsor .tech domains, along with GoDaddy Pro, is donating not 50, not 60, but 100% of the proceeds from the sales of really cool domain names on .tech's website to code.org to increase access to computer science education for students from marginalized communities and young women. And access to computer science is something that I am very much for. I remember all the way back in the early days when my dad brought home a Windows 3.11 PC for me to have for Christmas that started this tech journey that I'm on. Along the way, I've also had great computer science teachers, which has led me to the career path that I'm in. But that's not the case for everybody. Out of 219 countries, 73% are either only piloting computer science in school or doing nothing at all. In the US alone, only 47% of public high schools teach a computer science class. And with there being over 410,000 computing jobs open nationwide, with only 71,000 computer science students graduating into the workforce last year, you can see how there's a need for greater access to computer science across the country and across the world. And that's why we're thankful for today's sponsor, .tech domains, along with GoDaddy Pro, for giving away the proceeds to code.org to help reach the more marginalized communities in the computer science category to make sure that we can have brighter futures and brighter careers for them. So you can go to the link in the video description and go.tech/hot news to get your very own .tech domains and help children get their start in computer science. Big thanks again to them for sponsoring today's episode. Now let's go ahead and talk about NVIDIA and their RTX 3070 Ti. A lot of people were not able to get their hands on the Founders Edition card that released exclusively at Best Buy, which The Verge confirmed when they did some investigative journalism, which I know is not something we normally say when it comes to The Verge. But on top of that, other outlets are talking to people who run these bots that buy up these cards, and it turns out that the 3070 Ti Founders Edition never existed. No bot actually got one. You weren't able to buy a 3070 Ti over on Best Buy. It's not your fault. NVIDIA just didn't release them. So while some third-party cards might be selling at places like Newegg, nobody should have the Founders Edition in the US. There's also reports that the UK also is not having any sort of Founders Edition card. So NVIDIA launching it, but not actually launching it, but then not saying anything about what's going on and where the cards are. So that kind of goes against what we were saying earlier about GPU prices getting better. It's clear that there are still some supply limitations that are going on. NVIDIA can't even meet their own launch. They're paper launching their products all over the place like they're a kid in an elementary school classroom trying to make the waste bucket. NVIDIA, when are you gonna send us your GPUs? AMD is going to send us their next gen motherboards probably in early 2022, or at least in Q2, with a new roadmap that's coming out on all of the new launches that should be happening. B660 and H610 for Alder Lake should launch in Q1 of 2022. Intel Z790 for Raptor Lake will drop in Q3 of 2022, and AM5 motherboards for Raphael will drop in Q2 of 2022. So all of those releases happening for CPUs coming around that time. The expectation though is that the first AM5 motherboards are going to be roughly exclusively for the APUs that AMD is releasing, and then the actual Zen 4 CPUs will launch sometime later, probably in Q3 or Q4 of next year. But we're also getting support in HWiNFO for Zen 4, enhanced early support being listed in the notes, so you can now see Zen 4 being listed as a supported device. And lots of devices support crypto mining. And let's talk about Cryptostonks. Bitcoin down 2.8% to 37,500, just cratering after lunchtime. Ethereum 3.8% down. Dogecoin down to 30 cents. 2% down on the day. Meme stonks, GameStop closing up 0.4% up on the day, recovering slightly from its downward slide previous in the week. AMC up 10% on the day, closing at $60.76. It's not near its 52-week high of $72, but a $60 close is still nothing to sneeze about. And BlackBerry closing up nearly 5% on the day, recovering some of its lost ground as well. Meme stonks going which way? Cryptostonks over it. But I'm telling you, Facebook sees stonks and money when it comes to everything they sell. You want ads in your virtual reality? Well, boy, howdy, you're getting them. This is the future that you all asked for when you bought an Oculus Quest 2 and you said, I don't care that it requires Facebook login, all right? I want the best VR experience. Well, now it's going to come with ads because they're going to start trialing ads in the Oculus Quest 2 in different VR applications. You can see the implementation in the first game that's going to feature it. Fast, free delivery from Jasper's Market. Thank you, Jasper's Market, for being just the epitome of capitalism and Facebook's non-sustainable business model where they have to sell your data in order to be viable because they didn't figure out how to make money. And Atari, I'm not sure if they know how to make money because they announced the VCS back all the way in 2017, but now it's officially out. You can pick one up at Best Buy. I could have mine delivered by next Saturday. So you can get the thing that's $400. I don't like the price. But you can buy one. And now you can buy an Xbox controller in whatever color you desire, because Microsoft is bringing back the Xbox Design Lab so that you can customize the controller colors in whatever various forms that you want. You can even make it so that the X, Y, A, and B buttons have different colors to match more the Xbox 360 controller. It's a neat little thing that only costs you $69.99, which is roughly the price of a regular controller, so you can have it customized, which is a really great thing for Microsoft to release. I like this. The price of a controller being $70, I don't like that, but the fact that I could get it customized for just me, I do enjoy that. And a lot of people enjoyed the game Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice when it came out, and we got some more details on the upcoming sequel, which isn't a strict sequel according to the game developer Ninja Theory, them saying that they aren't even in full production yet. It appears that they were waiting for Unreal Engine 5 to come out. They're still working in pre-production, working on a chunky slice of it, and it's going to be based in 9th century Iceland, so that should be coming out at some point. It was one of the first games that got announced as a next-gen exclusive for the Xbox, and it's not looking like it's coming out until 2023, so it got kind of hinted at really early on while it wasn't even that far in its development. So in Senua's Saga, the second Hellblade, hopefully come out sometime soon, but it's something that a lot of people are definitely excited for. And I'm excited for Sony to give me support to actually put an M.2 SSD in my PS5. Hopefully we'll get that because they're announcing that there's a beta program for their firmware ahead of a major update that's going to be coming to the PlayStation 5 later this year. You can enter into the beta program if you so desire at the link in the video description. And you can enter into the world of RuneScape on your mobile phone now, with everybody on iOS and Android being allowed to play RuneScape, but it's not the old school RuneScape that's already been on mobile. This is the regular RuneScape that's out now. I haven't played RuneScape in many, many moons, but I just wanted to say it for nostalgia's sake. And GM doesn't want to invest in ICE engines, that's internal combustion engines, for very much longer, even if it is for nostalgia's sake, with them increasing their self-driving and EV investment to $35 billion when their previous planned amount was only $20 billion, so they're increasing it by 75%. It seems to reason that GM believes that electric vehicles are the way of the future. Future noises. And Western Digital seems to believe that the wave of the future is settling lawsuits because they don't want to deal with it anymore. In case you don't remember, we talked about in previous episodes of Hot News about how some of Western Digital's NAS hard drives had SMR, which is a technology that's not really used in NAS hard drives, and it can lead to reliability issues. Well, there was class action lawsuits that were levied against Western Digital, and they are settling one for $2.7 million. And that means that everybody who complained in the class action lawsuit will get $4 to $7 per drive. Huge payday, my friends. I don't care if you lost all of your data. I don't care if you lost the backup of Aunt Margaret's wedding on the island of Cabo. Okay, that's irrelevant. $4. It's the best I can do. Take it or leave it. And you're gonna have to leave the Galaxy Z Fold 2 behind because Samsung's website shows that it's no longer being sold in the United States. It's not quite clear if Samsung is discontinuing it ahead of the August launch of the next generation of foldable devices. But in case you wanted a Z Fold 2, you're gonna have to run over to Best Buy and try to pick one up before they disappear because you're never gonna be able to get one again. That was a bit dramatic for something that I don't think many people care about. But I care that Dishy McDishface is overheating. Okay, we talked about this in yesterday's episode of Hot News, and Starlink says, hey, that's not right. It shouldn't be doing that. They're gonna fix it with a firmware update next week. That's according to their reports. Starlink fixing Dishy McDishface's overheating. And AMD fixing your frame rate, okay? At Fidelity FX Super Resolution, supposed to be the thing that's gonna change all video games forever and a day. It's never gonna be like it was before. You're playing at 30 FPS, pathetic, okay? You have an APU, you're gonna be able to play 60 FPS on everything. We've got the 7 games that AMD is gonna support at launch. You ready for that? 22 Racing Series, Anno 1800, Evil Genius 2, Godfall, King Shunt, Terminator Resistance, The Rift Breaker. I know, right? King Shunt. Obviously, this is a huge, large list of hard-hitting titles. They're gonna be amazing. There's more support coming out later in the future ahead of the launch date of June 22nd. FSR support coming to Asterigos, Baldur's Gate 3, Dota 2, Edge of Eternity, Far Cry 6, Farming Simulator 22, Forspoken. I'm excited for that one because that's the next Square Enix game. Myst is getting FSR support, guys. Myst. Necromunda Hired Gun, Resident Evil Village, Swordsman Remake, and Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt. So you can see, based on the initial launch, who cares, right? Like, Godfall is the biggest game that they announced with it. It's the game that they're showing off for FSR. Cool. Here's a little bit of trivia for you. When it got announced that Godfall was supporting FSR, if you went over to the Godfall's subreddit, within 12 hours, nobody even mentioned it. That's how dead the game is. Nobody's even talking about all of the extra support they're getting from AMD on this dang video game. There are some good games in that list that are going to get support in the future, but as is the case with FSR, it's going to depend on the game developers. You can see here the game developers and publishers who have committed to supporting FSR. So hopefully this means going forward, we're going to have a large amount of support. If we go back to when NVIDIA announced ray tracing and DLSS, it's kind of a similar scenario. NVIDIA had AAA titles lined up in the future, like Battlefield 5. That turned out great. Metro Exodus, but the games that actually existed at launch were few and far between. And things like DLSS coming to PUBG, did that even ever happen? I remember looking this up like last year. They said it was supposed to happen like back in 2018, and it never got DLSS. Does anybody have deep learning super sampling on PUBG? It was like one of the announcements. It was like a main title that they said, hey, this is the reason you should support RTX. Anyways, I'm excited for the future of FSR. I'm not excited for the present of FSR, especially with the video I did over on UFD Tech yesterday on reviewing the Ryzen 7 5700G. A lot of people were like, this thing's gonna be so amazing with FSR. Cool, it'll play Godfall at 100 FPS. Sweet. You know what I think's pretty sweet? Not AMD's pricing structure of the 6900 XT liquid cooled. You should check out yesterday's episode of Hot News right there, and we'll see you on Monday. It's Friday. Holy crap, bye.